What is going on, everybody? So we are going to talk about YouTube's shadow ban. Ooh, shadow ban. And I'm going to draw and talk to you guys about that. It's a serious topic because a lot of times, with content creators, they go through this phase. I consider myself a content creator, but not so much as far as like I am a YouTuber, because that is laughable, because it's not sustainable. It's only sustainable when you play by the rules and you have sponsors, and at that point you have to consistently play the narrative in order to fuel the system of you making monetization, right? So we're gonna draw and talk about this, and at the same time I'm going to read an article about shadow ban. All right, so let's do that. Now, of course, this doesn't pertain too much on, actually it does pertain to everybody. So for all those people out there, it's like, I don't really care, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not trying to make content on YouTube, so why should I care? Shadow ban applies to everything. That goes with your engagement on Instagram, your engagement on Facebook, your engagement on applying for jobs, also dating apps. Everything with social media has a shadow ban. So what is shadow ban? Shadow ban is literally you're not getting anything. There's no traction whatsoever in what you are producing or whatever content that you put out. No one is seeing it. Therefore, it's considered shadow ban. You will go through a phase where you're thinking, well, my content isn't good enough. No, it's not that your content isn't good enough. The content is not being seen. There's a huge difference between your content not being seen and your content not good enough. If your content's not good enough, you will still get an engagement, as in you have a lot of dislikes, you have a lot of negative comments. That means your content isn't good enough. But if your content isn't getting anything, that is technically considered shadow ban. All right, so let's talk about this in this article right here. I'm going to read this article. This came out 2 years ago, 29th of November, 2022. And we're going to read this whole thing about shadow ban, right? Okay, if you notice a decline in your account engagement and unsure why or how this happened, your account may have experienced a YouTube shadow ban. Now, this also can even apply to dating apps. Let's say you just open up Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, whatever it is. And of course, your initial engagement is going to happen because you are a new user. Therefore, they're going to give you a little bit of the treats, right? But then over time, all of a sudden, it's night and day. Or should I say day to night, where you're not getting nothing and it's nothing but crickets. And now you're like, man, do I have to change this? Do I have to change that? You start going through this frustration phase. And that's the shadow ban. Shadow ban is described as the blocking or partial blocking of a user to the network's community. Community as in people to discover you. If there's no discovery, then how is it that people dislike you if they never discover you? That doesn't make any sense, right? That's like saying, oh, many women don't like me. But how can many women not like you if they don't know who you are? You get what I'm saying? So you will go through this frustration period because you are shadow banned. All right? It results in hidden content or not being able to participate in the platform at its fullest. Basically, if the network believes that you have violated any policies or terms, they can make your content invisible or less prohibited to the public. Now, let me add another caveat to that. It doesn't need to violate any policy. It is based upon whether or not you are making the same type of content like everybody else. If you're not making the same content like everybody else, therefore you are irrelevant to them. Remember, YouTube and a lot of these platforms, they control the narrative, okay? That means if you do not fit their narrative in which what everybody else is talking about, therefore you're irrelevant to them. So the algorithm finds you irrelevant. So the algorithm finds you irrelevant, then you're never going to get discovered. That's how it works. That's how the algorithm works. All right, so let's continue reading right here. If you're a content creator, marketer, or social media manager, this is a big deal and a nightmare if you never want it to come true. So that's why I'm going to share some advice on how to get out of being shadow banned, how to find out if your YouTube account has been shadow banned, if your engagement or reach has slowed significantly in the past few months or weeks. It could be due to shadow ban. The tricky part about shadow bans is that the network will not notify you that they placed this on your account. So you have to find out manually. Now think about shadow ban. A good analogy is like black ice. Why do you think it's called black ice? It's ice that you cannot identify. You will never know until afterwards when you come crashing down or slipping, going left to right while you're driving. You can't see the ice. That's why it's called black ice, right? So shadow ban's the same thing. You're being banned, but you didn't even know. You didn't even know. So banning doesn't necessarily mean that your account is doing amazing and then all of a sudden, bam, like now your account is nowhere. Like no one will discover you. No, shadow ban could also just mean that you're just not worthy enough to be in the algorithm. That's what it's based off upon. You're not worthy in their eyes for other people to discover you. Another thing too is that shadow ban can easily happen if, let's say, you decided to play ball in the beginning by copying what everybody else is doing, right? So then you could be, shown in the algorithm, and then all of a sudden you got to change of heart. You're like, you know what? I'm getting tired, real tired of being like everybody else. I want to tell the truth, or I want to make something original, or I want to do something that YouTube has never, or people have never seen before. Don't do that. All right? Don't do that. Because that right there is a recipe for disaster in terms of the algorithm. The algorithm does not like that. This is what you call control the narrative. They want to control their narrative. And the ones who are doing amazing are the ones who are hitting the mainstream garbage. Right? That's how it works. So reasons leading to YouTube shadow ban. Okay? If you're unsure of why your content was shadow banned or you want to avoid it, here are some common social media mistakes that leads to a YouTube shadow ban. Spamming. Owning several channels on the same device or IP address. Now that I find interesting because so many times because I made so many different channels and different channels on YouTube because certain channels just didn't work. And now I'm at the phase where I really don't care. I just like to make content. If people see it, people see it. If they don't, they don't. I'm not trying to, because it's actually really, really destructive to try to make YouTube a reliable source of income. That is insane. Because in the end of the day, it's the sponsors, right? But the sponsors is predicated off of your popularity on YouTube. And let's say YouTube don't want to play with you anymore, like you're a used toy. So now they're like, okay, you're whack. Now we got to find somebody else to build up in the algorithm. And all of a sudden your popularity goes down. And these companies don't care. All they see is money, right? They just see numbers. They don't care about the content you make. Majority of the time, these companies don't even watch your content. They just look at the subscriber count and see, wow, this person got a lot of views. They got a lot of subscribers. So let's give them a sponsor. That's it. But when they notice that, wait a minute. Oh, you're not really getting the traction that you had before. You're no longer cool. Bye. Right? They'll just no longer sponsor you. So it's all like a BS popularity contest. Where you're no longer popular, they don't rock with you. That's why they say success is a gift and a curse. Because success is artificial. Success could just be something small. It doesn't need to equate to money. But it's not success. It's a popularity contest. Two different things. Because if you ain't popular, they're going to abort you. They're like, okay. And that's scary because YouTube don't pay enough. Unless you got millions of views, a lot of subscribers, like it's going to take a long time. And even with that, easy come, easy go. Because later on, let's say all of a sudden you was the hot person of the man of the hour, the woman of the hour. And then later on, they're like, okay, we don't like you anymore. YouTube don't like you anymore. The algorithm don't like you anymore. So then what happens? It's not that people don't rock with you anymore. They just haven't got the notification. Meaning people are too conditioned to allow YouTube to feed the information of your content to them. So they're not going to manually every single time to type in your name to find out what you're doing. No. Because they're watching other people. So the favoritism of the top content creators, even though they haven't subscribed to them, they will always get the notifications of them as if they subscribe to them. While with your content or any other content creators, they don't really get that. That happened to me even as a viewer. There's certain content creators, I'm like, hey, I subscribed to him a long time. And it made it seem as if the person just stopped making videos for a while. But no, I manually typed in their name and they've been active this whole entire time. But YouTube just stopped pushing them, even though I subscribed to them. But the ones who are the big popular content creators, the moment you just click on one of their videos, you just get nothing but their content feeds over and over and over. All right, so let me go back to what I was saying. So that's another thing too that's really funny what I just said about the whole IP address, right? Yeah, I have the same IP address, and I made different channels on YouTube because I was finding myself, right? And those channels just wasn't for me, you know, getting older, growing from understanding myself as making content on YouTube. So I made different channels. So that's interesting how you could be shadow banned for having different YouTube channels. Like that's interesting to me because it's like, wouldn't that make sense? Especially, let's say if you're successful with being a content creator and you want to make multiple channels to promote your business. So doing that, you become shadow banned. Interesting. And then it says also copyrighted content, which is understandable, right? You taking somebody else's content. Nothing wrong with that, right? You deserve your punishment. Posting about illegal activities or topics. Now that could be subjective. Me talking about this topic could be considered illegal, right? Because YouTube and a lot of social media platforms are private companies. So they can literally make anything as considered hate speech, right? Illegal, right? Keywords often detected from a YouTube bot on YouTube. And then a shadow ban is put in place. Therefore, if you want to avoid a shadow ban, make sure there aren't any suspicious keywords that could attract a shadow ban. Usually shadow bans doesn't last no longer than 24 hours. With some shadow bans extended to 48 hours. You can use this time to see if you truly have violated any policies and how you can change that. While your account is shadow banned, lay low and avoid posting content. Wow. And a lot of people want to be content creators. A lot of people want to be YouTubers. You think a 9 to 5 is a lot harder than being a content creator? Imagine you put all your eggs, and I know a lot of people say, but I have multiple baskets, right? Because of sponsors. No, it is a omni, right? It's the same thing like having different Apple devices. It's an ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? They all rely on each other. So if multiple streams of income is literally, they're not adjacent to each other. So if one fails, the others are still moving regardless of what's going on. This is an ecosystem. And what's an ecosystem? Think of it like the food web or the animal web, right? So if this animal becomes extinct, then this other animal can become extinct, and then this other animal can become extinct, and now it's destroying everything like a house of cards. So you're not really in a situation where you have multiple streams of income, unless you're doing something like real estate or whatever it is that has nothing to do with being a social media content creator. So that's all based upon the individual. But if they're all relying on everything like this is a sponsor, that's a sponsor, that's a sponsor, and everything is heavily off of your popularity on YouTube, that's not really multiple streams of income. That is an ecosystem. And that can easily just fall down the moment YouTube is like, well, we don't like your content anymore. So all your views gone from 100K every single time to now 5,000 views. Yeah. Now, luckily for certain content creators, if they've been around for a long time, they still could reap the benefits of having so many content that people can, it's called evergreen, right? Which is something that is still relevant no matter what happens 5 years from now, 10 years from now. People will still watch it because it's still relevant, right? Some people don't have that. So nobody's going to watch their content that was 10 years ago. It's just not happening. Anyway, where was I? If you feel that a shadow ban has been wrongly placed or your account reached out to YouTube support, that's laughable. They don't, even if you have 100,000 subscribers, the likelihood of them caring about, look, they got way too many content creators, right? They only have, I believe if you have 1 million subscribers, that's when you have a representative from YouTube. So this is all just like a different universe, right? It's a different world. So now the lines are blurred between video games and reality. It's literally like that as being a content creator. So now they got their own lawyers, they got their own system, they got their own this, they got their own that, right? So think of it like even in our society, poor people don't have lawyers. Rich people do. Because poor people can't afford lawyers. So it's the same thing as being a content creator. If you got no subscribers, you're poor. If you got 1 million subscribers, you're relevant. So you automatically have a representative. Not sure where to get started on YouTube. You'll leave. Sorry. We will leave everything. We will leave you everything you need to know and how to get your marketing strategy started on YouTube. So you can. Okay, whatever. All right. So let me just go back into this scene. So yeah, this time I was just drawing some random thing as I'm talking to you guys. So I'm gonna make them angry YouTube, blocking shadow ban, I guess. So yeah, that's how it is with YouTube. All right. And I know some people are like, what does that have to do with me? I don't really care about YouTube. I'm not trying to be a content creator. Okay, when you go on dating apps, when you apply to jobs, if you do not put in the right keyword, in other words, if you don't play ball with them, you're not going anywhere. That's how it goes. The algorithm, not the people, the algorithm. That's why they say all the time on YouTube, you have to cater towards the algorithm. People are not going to help you. People are becoming more lazy than ever. I'm just being real. They're lazy than ever. It's the algorithm first, then the people later. How many times you know people that will share your content? No one's doing that. But they will share someone who's already popular. That's how it goes. So let's say you have a family member and they're like, yo, man, your content is amazing. Have you ever shared it? No, I haven't shared your content. But they're going to share somebody else's who's already rich. That's how it goes. So now you got to rely on the algorithm. How does that make sense? You're going to rely on artificial intelligence, AI, to help you in life? What? I mean, think of it like this. Like a video game. How many times this is like for the nerds out there like myself. How many times have you ever played a video game, whether it's back in the days or even today's era, and you have AI to assist you? What do they all have in common? The AI who's trying to assist you, they're terrible. They suck. You got to do it yourself. So imagine if you are relying on your livelihood, your life, on AI. That to me doesn't even make any sense. That's very, very destructive. And people study a lot of this. How to cater towards AI. Because shadow ban is you not playing ball. That's literally what it is. You're not playing ball. You can't talk about this. You just gotta be like everybody else. And maybe, just maybe, we'll push you out there with other people. And if you're not doing that, well, no one's gonna see you. And then this is where people get frustrated. Content creators give up. Even the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Even certain content creators who was massive before on social media. When I say massive, they had over 1 million subscribers. And they give up. Or they take a hiatus. Because it's like, yo, I can't keep doing all this. I can't keep catering towards the algorithm. It's affecting my soul. Because the content that they want me to put out is idiotic, to say the least. Maybe that's considered hate speech, what I just said. But it's dumb. Let's be real, it's dumb stuff. It's docile. I gotta do docile stuff. Imagine if you gotta do animations of docile stuff. It's going to affect you mentally. It's like, damn, I could be making my own IP, but I know if I do that, the algorithm don't care. They want me to talk about Logan Paul. They want me to talk about Sneeko. They want me to talk about this attractive woman who says that men are terrible. That's what the algorithm wants me to talk about. But making something that's creative, nah. We don't want that. Let me switch back right here. I'm gonna make like some, I'm gonna make a skull. How about that? I'm gonna make a skull. I haven't made skulls in a while. Make a random skull. That's the reality of it, right? Now, some people in the comment might be like, who hurt you? Oh my God. And that's the ignorant response. This is just the reality. Now, of course, we're all ignorant in the end of the day, right? How many people know what it's like to be homeless? You don't. How many people knows what it's like to have no money? And when I say no money, I mean legit no money. You don't. So where am I getting at? That's the same thing when it comes down to the comments. No one knows what it's like until they experience it. So they're going to comment like, oh, what are you talking about? Ugh. And even the people who are successful, some of them don't even know what it's like to not be successful. Right? Let alone, for example, let's say some people don't even know what it's like to be fired. They never been fired from a job. Or they never worked retail in their life. They just went straight into the corporate world. Or they never been broke their entire life. So it's easy for them to just be like, oh, it's not a big deal. Just pull it by the bootstraps. Just do that. No. No one can understand the feeling. It's impossible. Right? I don't know what it's like being incarcerated. Never been. And someone could just tell me until they blew in the face how terrible it is. I could listen to them. I could understand them. But I could never fully get the experience of it. That's just human nature. As I'm drawing this skull, which is the opposite of that. Which is trying to make something like some sort of like a weird Grim Reaper thing. I don't know. But imagine people who are literally making this. They really want this to be a livelihood. I was one of those people in the beginning. And then I got hit with being quote unquote shadow banned. You don't need to be a big content creator to get shadow banned. Shadow ban is literally just you're not in the algorithm. That's what shadow ban is. You're banned. Like you're not getting anything unless you play ball. You have to play ball. If you do not play ball, then this is what happens. You're not gonna go anywhere. Let me see what else. What else are they saying here? I'm just reading what they're saying. Why is shadow banning illegal in the USA? What are they talking about? Shadow ban is all over the world, it's not just the USA. How do I sort comments by newest? What's that have to do with being shadow banned? I don't know. People just be writing stuff, man. See if there's any other articles as I'm looking through here. How to get rid of it. You can't get rid of being shadow banned. They are the ones who hold the mantle on whether or not you grow or you stay stagnant. That's how it is on these social media platforms. How to get rid of it. The closest I can only say to how to get rid of anything, it is not you don't get rid of it, but it's to kiss their butts. It's no different from you working a 9 to 5 and your boss is giving you a hard time. And they're giving you more work, and they're making your life more difficult as you're working there. What are you gonna do, right? You can either keep fighting them, but then you're not gonna go anywhere, then they'll just lay you off, or some people, they just kiss butt. You play ball, right? Like in wrestling, kiss my ass club, right? And when doing so, you can't even look at yourself in the mirror, but your channel is growing, or your job is they're giving you more money, right? A raise or whatever. Let me write down shadow. I don't think I could put the whole thing. And then I guess I could put ban right here. Just wrote those real quick. Shadow ban. I'll just make up text right here. Shadow banned. Another thing too that I'm glad that I've decided to, it's funny how now I'm thinking about it as I'm like making this real quick, is that this whole notion of like how to grow a YouTube channel is BS. Definitely back in the days, those type of videos was extremely effective. When YouTube was in its glory days, when they actually catered towards average Joes, right? But that was all by design. They never really cared about average Joes. That was just a way of getting more popular. But now YouTube is at a point where they're making an enormous amount of money. Bottomless pit, right? Because Google owns it. So you now have celebrities who are even struggling getting their channel to grow, let alone you being an average Joe. So back then, those videos was beneficial. How to grow a YouTube channel. Tag this, make this type of title, make this type of thumbnail. Do this, do that. If you tag this is a hack for the algorithm to push you out more. Because the algorithm wasn't as sophisticated. That's why you needed taglines. So that way it can register that and push you with everybody else. That's why back then certain content creators was getting millions of views. Like everybody was getting millions of views. Like Oprah Winfrey giving everybody free cars. You get a car, you get a car, right? Now, no. Only a few. And the ones who get millions of views it's a very docile. It's either A, it's extremely informative, right? Or it's like documentary style of a content creator. Like now it's becoming like e-news documentary, but for content creators, like big content creators that they talk about. Like, so you see stuff like that. Very, very resource driven, right? And then you see the opposite of that, right? Docile stuff. They're both docile, but then you see stuff where it's just like pure slapstick, laughing entertainment. So you get both of those. And again, if you do not fit into any of those oh yeah, the third category I almost forgot is doing reaction videos, like commentary towards what's popular, right? So back then it worked as far as tagging. Now tagging don't mean anything. In fact, a lot of big content creators, they don't even need a tag because they're already associated with YouTube. That YouTube got their back, right? If you got over 1 million, you don't need a tag. Tagging don't do anything. It's useless. It's a placebo. Trust me, I made so many videos where I tag like crazy. And some people say, oh no, it's not good to tag too much. If you tag nothing or if you tag a lot, it don't make a difference. Also, your thumbnails, right? It don't mean anything. Your thumbnails don't mean anything. Your titles don't mean anything. Nothing means anything because YouTube is not going to push you. I'm just being real. They don't push, especially nowadays. They got more than enough content creators. They don't need you. All right? They do not need you. I was going to see something. Some people say shadow ban does not exist. Oh, it definitely exists. It's just certain people using these. Look at the thumbnails. I'm just looking at these thumbnails too. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. All right, that's pretty much it for this video. I need to get some water. I'm dehydrated. So don't forget to like the video. Right, this is like the CTA. If you ever discovered it, that'll be great. If not, it's fine. But if anybody discovered this video, liking the video is an organic way to let the algorithm know that this channel is worthy enough to be recommended on the right-hand side of, if you are on your computer. If you're on your phone, it'll be recommended at the bottom of other people's videos, right? So, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here.